Hello, hi, a very happy good evening. So this is Krishna Ma'am. We're talking about the story of life on earth, and that's biology. So thank you so much for joining my new beginning series. So here we are in the last lecture of human reproduction. So I promised to finish this lecture today, so this chapter will be done. So I hope you have seen the upcoming thumbnails on the next class. So that is on Friday. So we'll be having a Menti quiz in the same chapter, human reproduction. So please do join me for the Menti quiz on Friday for human reproduction. So we are going to have a Menti quiz, a very short one for 20 questions. So don't forget to join me on Friday as well. And this time as something very surprising for you. So on Saturday also we are meeting. So stay tuned to know what we're going to talk on Saturday. So it's going to be something very new, and I've come up with a lot of new ideas. So let's see how it works out. Alright, so before that, let's finish off this human reproduction, this pregnancy and childbirth. So what it has to say. I just have a couple of few slides at the end which will lead us to the end of this chapter. Alright, so here we go. So human reproduction, pregnancy and childbirth. So before we actually go into today's topic, so please give me 2 minutes of your precious time. So I would like to promote this. So we at Career Point have come up with the sample papers, the board sample papers, along with the solutions for class 12 and class 10. So the board exams are on the onset. So we are going to have the board exams, which is going to begin in a couple of weeks, and it's going to start in a fortnight. So I would request you guys to actually go through these sample papers which we have prepared. So it's actually, you can download them from our app. So it is with solutions, so you can, after you have solved it, you can cross-check the solutions from the solutions that we are provided. So it's a good set of sample papers. So it will be a final end of revision. It will be a final round of revision for class 12 and class 10. So board exams are equally important, so people will judge you like this. So if you cannot clear boards, you can nearly clear NEET. So as the saying goes, it is true, because boards are comparatively easy compared to your competitive exams. So if you're not able to clear boards, so which means you do not have the level for your NEET or JEE. So in that aspect, so make sure you do your boards well. So it's Career Point wishing you all the best for your upcoming board exams. At the same time, so please purchase our sample papers for class 10 and class 12. So that might be of great help to you for the final round of revision. So make sure you visit this, and thank you for listening to me for this promotion. So let's go forward now. So what are the topics that we are left to cover? Is only 2 topics. One is pregnancy, the other one is childbirth. Right, so we are done with fertilization and implantation. So I hope you remember when fertilization happens. So when your ovulation happens, so the ovum is carried to the ampullary region, right? So a quick revision, a quick recap of what happens, I'll tell you. So the ovum is present in the ampullary region. So it is in the form of secondary oocyte. So this is surrounded by zona pellucida. So the sperm reaches this region. So the acrosome layer of the sperm actually interacts with the zona pellucida to change the membrane permeability, so that only one sperm fertilizes one egg, right? So after this, what happens when the sperm enters the cytoplasm of the secondary oocyte? So the secondary oocyte completes its second meiotic division. The second meiotic division is completed. So it forms an oocyte plus a tiny polar body. So it is this oocyte that fuses with your sperm and thus forms a zygote. Alright, yes? So the oocyte, which is haploid, it fuses with the sperm, which is also haploid, and it forms the diploid zygote. So now the zygote undergoes a series of division by the time it reaches the uterus. It has to get embedded in the endometrium of the uterus, right? So first it will undergo the 2-cell stage, then the 4-cell, 6-cell and the 8-cell. So 8 to the 16-cell stage is called as the morula stage, after which it forms the blastocyst stage. So here the inner layer is your inner cell mass and the outer cell layer is your tropoblast. So the trophoblast is what gets embedded in the endometrium of the uterus, and that is the process of implantation, right? So this is where we finished off in the last lecture. So now let's continue. So you have this trophoblast. So this trophoblast will get attached to the uterine wall, the endometrial wall. So once after implantation, after it has got implanted on the uterine wall, the inner cell mass actually differentiates into the embryonic germ layer, that is your ectoderm, endoderm and your mesoderm. So this differentiation into germ layers is called as gastrula stage. Fine. So meanwhile, the trophoblast forms finger-like projections, like if it is like this. So if this is your endometrial lining, so after implantation, so this forms a finger-like projection. So that is your chorionic villi. So this chorionic villi then changes to or converts to form your placenta. So placenta is what separates your mother's maternal material from the fetal material, right? Yes. Okay, so hi Nishrag, yes, a very happy good evening. So you're here after a very long time, so thank you so much. How are you? Yes, I'm really good. I hope you're doing good as well. Ma'am, please bring a series of biology revision in which you can cover one chapter in one shot and take Menti the next day of the chapter. Okay, yeah, very good idea, but even I have some plans. So one shot we'll do it. I have already planned, so we'll do one shot as well as the Menti followed the next day. Yes, we'll definitely do it, but we'll start it a bit late, probably from the first week of May. All right, yes. So as of now, I have something in mind, so we'll do that first, and from 1st of May I'll start, because we have 2 solid months. So your exam is on July 17th, right? So that will be more than enough. So that will suffice. That will give us enough or ample time to cover the entire chapter with one shot, as well as take the Menti, including the Sundays. Yes, Nishrag, anyways, your suggestions are taken, so thank you so much. So please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Right, so here we move forward. So this is what this is how your placenta is formed. All right, okay, so now I move forward. So after implantation, so the finger-like projections appear on the trophoblast, that is your chorionic villi. Yes, Nishrag, it's my pleasure, so thank you to you too. Right, so the chorionic villi is now surrounded with uterine tissues as well as the maternal blood. So the chorionic villi now interdigitates to form the structural and functional unit, that is your placenta. So placenta is what separates your mother's material from the fetal material. All right. So the placenta actually facilitates the supply of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo. So placenta is very essential for the growth of the embryo, because it in turn supplies the most essential oxygen gas and the nutrients as well. Okay, so it facilitates the removal of carbon dioxide, as well as it allows the excretory waste produced by the embryo to be excreted by the mother. So it acts as an endocrine tissue in the sense that it produces hormones. So these are the main functions of your placenta. So the hormones produced by a placenta are HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin, plus your human placental lactogen, estrogens and progesterones. So the the hormones produced by your placenta are very important. So please make a note of them. So HCG is the human chorionic gonadotropin. So this is a hormone whose presence is tested in the urine of a female who has just conceived. So to confirm pregnancy, you test for this hormone in the urine sample. Then HPL, human placental lactogen. Right, so these are some of the hormones produced by the placenta. So the later phase of pregnancy, relaxin is secreted by the ovary. So this is, so far it was secreted by the placenta, which is formed by the interdigitation of the chorionic villi, which in turn is formed from the trophoblast, right? But now your relaxin is secreted by the ovary. So your HCG, HPL, relaxin are only produced during produced during pregnancy. So other hormones which are active throughout the pregnancy period are the estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, prolactin, your thyroxine, etc. So that also increase. So when your thyroxine is not produced, that is what leads to cretinism disease, which comes in your chemical coordination and integration. So above hormones are important. Why? Because it supports the fetal growth actually. It helps in the metabolic changes in the mother, like the mother has to eat more, the mother has to rest well, the mother has to do a lot of exercise, the mother's breast starts becoming tender because it begins to carry milk. So all these changes happen. Maintenance of pregnancy, so it has to allow the mother's body to carry the baby, right? So all that has to be there. So this is how it is. So you can see, so this is the uterine tissue. So this is where it has got embedded. So it will slowly begins to form the placenta. The inner structure is this. So this entire thing is the placenta. So you have the placental membrane. So placenta actually, so it is like this. So placenta separates the maternal blood. So maternal blood is the mother's blood and the fetal blood. So what connects the fetus to the placenta is your umbilical cord. Fine? Okay. So moving further, after implantation, the inner cell mass, so ICM is the inner cell mass of the embryo differentiates. So it differentiates to form the ectoderm, endoderm and the mesoderm. So ICM also contains stem cells, so that is your umbilical cord stem cells. So this is what they say. So the ICM is also stem cell because that is what differentiate into the germ layers, and these germ layers is what differentiate into different organs. So later if you have any problem with any organ, so you can use these stem cells to differentiate. So ICM also contains stem cells where the potency is which has the potency to produce all tissues and organs. Right, moving further, so the embryonic germ layers are like this. So you can see the blastocyst stage. So the zygote is undergoing stages of division. It leads to the blastocyst stage. So blastocyst has an outer cavity, that is your trophoblast, and this is your inner cell mass. So after implantation, this inner cell mass forms your ectoderm, endoderm and in between mesoderm. So this stage is your gastrula stage. Alright. Okay, fine. So here you can use this as your stem cell because it actually clears a lot, because it has a potential to differentiate into any organ. Right? So the human pregnancy lasts for about 9 months, that is your gestation period. 1 month the heart is formed, so it is 9 months, right? So it is divided into a period of 3 months. So first 3 months, second 3 months, third 3 months. The first 3 months is called as the first trimester. This is the second and this is the third. So at the end of the first month, the heart is formed, that is the first sign. The second month, the limbs and the digits, that is the legs and the hands, the fingers are formed. The end of 12th week, that is the first trimester. So major organs are formed, that is limbs and external genitalia are properly formed. Right? So at the 5th month, the movement of the fetus and appearance of hair on the head is done. So towards the end of the second trimester, that is 24 months, that is 6 months, so the body is covered with fine hair, the eyelids are formed, the eyelashes are formed. So first one, the human pregnancy is 9 months. It is divided into 3 trimesters, first 3 months, then the second 3 months and the third 3 months. Okay, so the first semester is at the end of the 3 months, and second trimester is at the end of the 6 months, and third trimester is at the end of the 9 months. Okay. So at the end of first month, the heart starts developing. So you can hear the heartbeat. That is the first sign that the baby is growing. The second month, you have the limbs and the fingers getting developed. And by the end of the first trimester, the genitalia and the limbs are formed. So at the 5th month, you can see the first movement. So the baby starts kicking inside the mother's womb and the appearance of hair on head. And at the end of 24 weeks, the body is covered with fine hair, eyelashes and eyelids form. So at the end of 9 months, fully developed fetus is ready for delivery. Alright, okay. So this is how it develops. So all the 9 months are shown here. So the entire 3 size trimesters are shown here. Alright, yeah. So average duration of pregnancy is 9 months, that is gestation. The embryo takes 9 months to develop completely. So vigorous contraction of uterus. So once the fetus is completely grown, it feels that the fetus has no space properly inside the womb of the mother. It actually sends a signal to the CNS. Right, so in the it actually sends a signal to your pituitary. So the neurohypophysis has a particular hormone called as the oxytocin. The oxytocin allows the vigorous contraction of the smooth muscles of the uterus. So the vigorous contraction of the uterus at the end of pregnancy is what leads to the expulsion of the baby. So delivery of the baby is induced by a complex neuroendocrine mechanism. The signal is sent, okay, it develops, the signal is initiated by the fetus and the placenta. So they induce mild contractions which causes the release of oxytocin, so that vigorous contraction happens. So this is called as a fetal ejection reflex. So this triggers the release of oxytocin from the maternal pituitary. So oxytocin acts on the muscles and it allows contraction. More the oxytocin, more the contraction, right? So later the child is delivered, so that is called as parturition. So a child comes out through the birth canal, right? So the last part of which is lactation. Once the child is born, the mother has to breastfeed the baby, right? The mammary glands of the females undergo differentiation during pregnancy because now they are matured enough to carry milk inside them. They start producing milk towards the end of pregnancy, that is lactation. So milk produced during the initial few days of lactation is called as colostrum. So you would have heard your parents and grandparents saying, so if you eat the milk of the cow which has just given birth, that is very rich in protein, because basically it has a lot of antibodies which will help you fight a lot of diseases. So that is the reason, because the mother's initial breast milk is also called as colostrum because it is rich in antibodies and it's a type of passive immunity. Yes, Guru Sharan, hello, a very happy good evening. So thank you so much for joining my lecture. So please do like, share and subscribe, right? So this is all about your childbirth and embryonic development. So the cleavage, so holoblastic cleavage and meroblastic cleavage. So you can ask, ma'am, how are identical twins formed? So one sperm fertilizes one egg, right? So once the zygote is formed, when the cell is dividing, the division can be in such a way that it leads to two cells, and each of the two cells can give rise to two individuals. So that is when identical twins are formed. All right. So meroblastic cleavage, the cleavage happens only in the top portion, that is meroblastic. In different complex vertebrates, the different types of cleavage happens. All right. So with this, we come to the end of this chapter. So you have the extra embryonic layers, like you have the allantois membrane. So the allantois is basically a rich supply of blood vessels. You have the amniotic cavity. The amniotic cavity is a transparent balloon-like structure which protects your fetus. So this amniotic cavity actually prevents the baby from any kind of shock, right? So once your amniotic cavity breaks, so the amniotic fluid comes out, and that's a sign that your baby is ready to come out. It's no longer safe inside for the baby, right? So these are the different layers, right? So with this, we have successfully completed the huge chapter of human reproduction. So we are having the mentee of this chapter, the mentee quiz on this chapter of human reproduction on Friday at 4:15. So please don't forget to join me on Friday for this amazing session of mentee quiz. So until then, this is me signing off, and take care. And genuinely, if you liked my way of teaching, so please do like, share and subscribe. So thank you once again. I'll meet you on Friday. All right. So thank you and bye.